Hey, what's up? How's it going? It's Dave right here. This video, I'm not going to talk about the Rolex Daytona. More so, I'm going to talk about the watch bubble, the Rolex bubble, Rolex Sports, Patek Sports bubble, and what's going to happen from this point on. Well, today it is, what's the date today? It is April 26th. And I've owned this watch for about 3 years now. When I bought this, I paid about 10,000 US dollars. A little under that actually, 9,600 US dollars. And this has almost doubled, pretty much doubled, you know. Has the watch had any modifications on it? Did I add diamonds? I don't know, did I, it's still the same watch. The only difference is that time has gone by and demand for it, excuse me, I'm having my morning coffee. Demand for it has obviously, skyrocketed, gone through the roof. How does this happen? How does a watch increase in value, in price? Well, quite simply, people keep buying and people keep selling them, right? So the number of transactions over the last 3 years for this watch has obviously gone up, right? For example, let's say I paid $10,000 for this. Maybe about a few months after I for whatever reason I decide to sell it. Well, I don't want to take a loss, right? I want to sell it for maybe $10,500, right? Someone buys it for 10,500, and that person, for whatever reason, he wants to sell it, so he sells it at 11,000. Then the person who buys it at 11,000 sells it for 11,500, and it just snowballs, and it kind of it gets passed around, right? It's like hotcakes, it's like musical chairs. So when will this pop? Well, it will pop when I guess the person who is who ends up with this watch can't find any sellers, and he has to start to take a loss, right? Let's say, well, this watch right now probably trades at about 18,000 US, 17, 18,000 US complete set, and he has to take a loss, right? And someone has to buy, take a loss, and and then it kind of goes back down. When will that happen? I don't know, right? What's it tied to? I think I think watches being the asset that it is really tied to the economy, right? How much income, disposable income people have, is tied into interest rates, right? Whatever the federal interest rates are at, let me give you an example, right? Let's say I sell this watch, right, and I get $18,000. What am I gonna do with the money? Interest rates are so low. I leave it in the bank. I lose it to inflation. What am I gonna do with it? Do I, I don't want to. I don't want my money to diminish. I probably pump it into another Rolex, right, or something else. Maybe I'll get a Submariner. Maybe I'll get a GMT, right? Maybe I'll get the new Daytona. And this is what's been happening, right? The value of cash has significantly been diminished, right? And that's why assets have all inflated, Same thing with real estate, same thing with stocks, bonds, whatever, assets, right? It's the inflation of assets, this thing is still the exact same object when it was a couple years ago, right? It's just that the demand for it has skyrocketed. Interest rates are so low, you don't want to hang on to cash, right? You leave it in the bank, it doesn't do anything, and that's what's happening, right? Will this ever come back down to 10,000 US dollars? Um, I really don't know. I mean, something really catastrophic has to happen, to the extent of the '08 financial crisis, right? That's when these things dropped significantly. But this is the Rolex Daytona, right? Let's not kid ourselves right here. This is the creme de la creme of Rolex steel sports watches, right? This is the king, right? I'm not trying to big note myself, but this is exactly what it is, right? Everybody everybody wants a Rolex, a Rolex Steel Sports, and everybody who owns a Rolex Steel Sports, deep down inside, they eventually want to at least experience ownership of a Rolex Daytona. Right? Why has these things, gone up so significantly over the past couple of years? Well, I think a lot of people have realized how beautiful these objects are. A lot of men and women wear the Rolex Daytona, and to be honest, the cost of ownership is really low. Right? Let's say you want to invest in something. Right? I hate to use the word invest, right, when it comes to watches because these are collector's items, right? But it's come to a point where you have to consider the financial cost of ownership of these big ticket items. And to be honest, the cost of ownership is really low, right? You only need to service these things once every, I'd say, if you're not abusing this watch, once every 7 to 10 years. Some people have never ever serviced their Rolex Submariners and they're fine, right? But this one, they're made so well today, they can be serviced by independents. You probably only got to, it will probably cost me $500 to service this with an independent, right? Over the span of 7 to 10 years, that's really nothing. I mean, it sounds like a lot of money at the time, right? But then the cost of ownership is so low, and people project that these things will only appreciate in the future. That's why they go for the Rolex Steel Sports, and they're just so versatile. They are so durable. They are beautiful. They're practical. Right? They're desirable. There's recognition. So, what do I think will happen in the future? I think we're at a plateau. I just cannot see these things going further up, but I don't know. That's that's what everybody's been telling themselves. So tell me what you think. Where do you think the prices of these luxury watches will go in the future, the next year, within the next 5 years? Let me know what you think. Okay, anyway, thanks for watching. I'm out.